All right. I'm joined with, I'll call you Zezi.
Okay, not a
I'm
problem.
joined with Zezi. Um, it's pleased to meet you. And thank you very much for coming on the podcast. Can you please just introduce yourself and what you do?
Hello, CPUT. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. So I'm Zezethu Siqungathi, and I am a chemical engineer. Well, there isn't really anything special about me except for the fact that I'm a child of God, of course. So I guess that's that. I'm a child of God and I'm a chemical engineer.
Awesome. I think we can just we'll dabble into both sides, a
Yeah.
child of God and an engineer. Um, Engineering. What brought you? What made you think of let me go do engineering?
Engineering.
Yeah.
I guess, when I was in high school, I was always very good with numbers. And
Genius.
when I never really, I wouldn't call it that.
Yeah.
But I never really thought about, how everybody would normally have their lives planned out, that, I apply and I know that I'm going to do this course and that course. I remember there was a small orientation thingy that they took us through at school. And I listened to what they were saying, but I never really got the passion to go out there and apply. People applied when they got their matric results, and I didn't. I kid you not, I was just a walk-in student. I
Really?
walked in at varsity. My brother took me, and the SRC guy who was helping me looked at my results, and he was like, "We can take you to engineering." And he didn't even ask me what I wanted to do. He just looked at my results like, "We're taking you to engineering."
Nice.
Then he asked me which side did I want to branch into, and he said mechanical, electrical, and chemicals open. And me being me, I thought mechanical, I'm going to be fixing cars and what.
Yes,
I was
yes,
like,
exactly.
I don't want to do that.
Sure.
And then electrical, you remember in high school in physics, there was that electrical part of physics.
Sure.
I never liked it.
Definitely. Okay.
So I
okay.
said, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
So I
yeah.
guess that's how I was introduced into chemical engineering. And at first, it really does feel like high school. I think the
Okay.
first year, where the maths is the
You're
same, the
balancing.
physics is everything is
Okay,
like
sure.
the same until you start the engineering part of it, and you're like,
Okay.
okay, yeah. I just learned to love it, really. As the semesters were going by, I was like,
Yeah.
I love this. I love doing this.
Nice.
So
nice.
yeah, that's how I got introduced.
It's a beautiful
and
coincidence.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And
Or maybe other people they say God coincidence. Yeah.
I think it was really just, it was destiny. God, he
Sure.
pushed me there.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
way. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. So I just enjoyed it. And from there, I just kept going and going. I finished my national diploma. Then I went for my in-service training. Then because I was used to money and I didn't want to rely,
Okay.
at my parents to say, give me money, I did my BTech part-time.
Okay.
Which was quite challenging, really, because you work and study.
Yeah.
Then I just saw that my marks started, going low.
Sure.
Then I realized, this is not me. I'm not happy about this. Then the second year of my BTech, because it takes 2 years, the second year I just stopped working. I cancelled my contract. I was like,
Are you
I can't do
serious?
it. I can't. Because I just kept going low and low and low. Then on the second year, I said, the smart decision for me is just to stop working because I want to have this BTech.
Okay.
And after I finished my BTech, I struggled a bit to find a job. And then I thought, why not? Just go for your master's. So I went. I never thought about liking research per se, but I think I grew into liking things because
Sure.
I got into it and I just grew into liking it. And yeah, and I remember when I was praying to God, I was saying, I don't want to finish this master's and sit home, And one of the convictions that I got is that go through the process and finish. I'll take you to the next step when you're done. I kid you not, I kept applying and I was getting rejects throughout.
Yeah.
And when I had submitted my thesis, that's when I got an interview.
Wow.
And yeah, that's just how
And
it
then
worked.
doing your masters, that means that was like 2 years.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 2 years, but you remember when the COVID thing struck, they sent us all home. So the whole year it felt
okay.
wasted, really, because from March until sometime November, we were sitting at home.
Of course.
Couldn't go to the labs or anything like that. So it was a whole year wasted. So the next 2 years were very effective, and that's when I finished off. But
I see.
yeah.
So you're a master's, is it graduate holder?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm still supposed to graduate though, but I'm done.
Say again?
I'm still supposed to graduate, but I'm done.
But you're done.
Yeah.
No, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Wow. How was okay? I don't want to speed up. I don't want to speed up.
Okay.
What I've noticed with your story, right, is it's actually very. At least now, I can say that I've done interviews with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is that your story is very similar to most children.
Oh yeah.
You ask varsity students, because at least when you're meeting maybe students most of the time, because of maybe when you're at church and you meet a student, like, hey, do you have an idea of what you want to do after finishing school with varsity? And then everyone doesn't give me an answer.
You realize they don't really know.
You realize that, okay, so why are you understand? And you realize that most people, they don't really, especially when you're a child, you don't really think further that, okay, after school, what am I going to do? Like that planning. And that I feel like that planning is very much important, which is hence having this conversation with other engineers, so that at least we can just correct it from the beginning. It actually helps them to
definitely
actually map their way into
their career pathway.
Because imagine if you had an idea of where you wanted to work and what you wanted to do. I'm sure it would have made you more intentional in what you're doing.
Exactly.
And you understand what I mean. But I think I'm saying that to say that I'm actually realizing that this is actually a trend that is happening, and kudos to you. And what I've noticed is that I actually was speaking to another lady called Angel. She was in the podcast. So she was saying that the same thing with her. And she just said, but God.
You're just walking by grace.
Exactly. So now you said you were doing chemical engineering, right? You said it was a bit challenging. What was the most challenging for you whilst you were still a student? And then we can just move on later into masters in terms of what were you focusing on doing research on?
Okay, I guess one challenging part about chemical engineering is that you don't really have weekends. How they've structured the course is such that every Monday there's a test.
Okay.
Though it's not an exam, it's a test. So it keeps you on your toes. So if you have a very busy lifestyle where you think weekends are for resting, you don't really get that in chemical engineering. You realize most of the chemical engineers over the weekend, they're either in the library or in a study group somewhere, because that's how the course is structured. So I guess that was that, to understand that my whole week is just given to my books. It was not very easy to adjust to. And I guess one challenging thing about varsity is that you mature. You need to grow up, because no one is running after you. No one is going to tell you to go to class, unlike high school. Now you need to get to a certain level to say, I know what I want and I know what I've come here to do. You just become mature, I guess, before your time. You have to come to your mind to say, this is what I have to do. It's going to be rainy days and you have to wake up and go to class. No one's going to run after you. No one's going to run after you for submissions. No one is going to do any of that. So it's the responsibility that comes with the course, and also the time that you have to put in. You obviously need to prioritize a lot of things. You need to be able to allow me to use scripture here.
Sure. I mean, feel free to go into scripture, talk, just feel free.
Yeah, so, in the Bible they said, separate, the precious things from the vile. In the same way, when you get to varsity, you need to be able to separate. This does not add value to my life. It's taking my time. And therefore, this is what's precious, and this is what I'm going to go for. So I guess that's the challenging part, because we come straight from high school, and we come with a very childish mentality.
Yeah, I mean, your mind is all over the place.
Exactly. Yeah. You used to your parents telling you, hey, don't you have homework? Don't you have an assignment? Don't you, they're behind you, and now you're in this world where you have to be grown. And everyone around here treats you like that. They treat you like an adult. Now you need to get into that space. I'm old. Yeah, your age might not say that, but the space which you've been put in. The level
of responsibility
exactly.
on your shoulders, yeah.
So, yeah, I guess that was the challenging part for me. I had to grow up quick. I had to snap out of this childish behavior, grow up.
Yeah.
And I guess for masters, really, it's research also. I think it's in the same way, you are the one who runs after your supervisor. Okay. He doesn't run after you.
Sure.
He just tells you, by this time, I want this done. I want your proposal in by this time. So you are the one who puts in work to go and research and do that. If you need consultations, you are the one who runs after him. He's just waiting for you. So I guess that was the challenging part, and all the tools that you have to work with, really, yeah. I guess it's the innovative part of chemical engineering. No longer just having a lecture giving you information. Now you become more innovative. You go out there, you find things, you bring life to them. You say, this is actually how you do it. And I was extracting oil from peanuts using carbon dioxide, more like supercritical carbon dioxide.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's something that's already been done. But they normally would extract oil using a solvent because that's easy, right?
Yeah, I think it's been a long time I did chemical engineering.
Yeah.
When you say solvent, what is it?
So it's something that can dissolve. Say, for example, water is a solvent.
Okay.
Sugar can dissolve in water. Easy. Something like that.
Sure.
So in the same way, there are some chemicals. If you put peanuts in there, generally oil will just come out and float on top.
Oh, I see.
But because it's a chemical, you might find that it's not food compatible. So it's not very good for humans or whatever. A certain degree of it or a certain amount of it is not good. So instead, I was using supercritical carbon dioxide because carbon dioxide will just evaporate afterwards. It will take out what you need and after just evaporate. So you are not adding to global warming. You're just using the carbon dioxide that exists. You extract and you take it back into the air. So
it sounds interesting.
So it's clean.
Yeah.
And then
was there an end goal for that, or you were just trying it out?
No, the end goal was actually to extract some components that can be used in different industries.
Okay.
So like one of them was aromas, which can be used either in perfume industries or can be used in like industries that produce sweet things, you see. Yeah. Or another one was, triglycerides, which are used in making soap. See, it's a totally different industry again. Some of them, you find them in makeup and whatnot. So it was different compounds.
Also, that one compound can make so many
things.
Stuff.
Yeah, and you find that it's different industries. It's cosmetic, it's food, so different industries. So that was the end goal, really, to say, okay, can I really extract this and can it really be used in these different industries?
That's nice. I think the more I bring masters holders, it might encourage me to
to go for it. Yeah.
And then when you do this, I think maybe you did mention a bit on that you what's the word? You did mention that you have to follow the supervisor to getting information, right?
Yeah.
And then now that you're doing it, you're in the process, right?
Yeah.
The testing. Where do you do the testing? Do the funding and everything?
And all of that.
Yes.
So I guess that's one of the responsibilities of the supervisors. They'll find you funding. But also, like I said, you're responsible for this. This is your future. So if you see that your supervisor is not moving, there are bursaries out there for master's students. Simple. You just go online, you search literally bursaries in South Africa for people that are doing postgraduate studies. You will find a ton of bursaries out there. For example, there was a time, the second year of masters, where I was funded by Nedbank. So there are banks out there that are actually willing, because I guess the need for engineers. So they're like, okay, if you're an engineer, we are willing, to fund you. Or if you are going into that postgraduate sector of your life, then they're willing to fund you. So yeah, they're responsible for that. As for the laboratories or the testing after you've done all your practicals. For example, the first part of my testing, I did it at CPUT, so that was simple. But the more I needed more bigger equipment or more complex equipment that can actually test, those compounds, then I had to go to Stellenbosch, book appointments with a lecturer in Stellenbosch, and go there. But you can have the option of sending your samples there, they go test, but it's going to take a while.
Okay.
So it goes back to responsibility. You take a transport, you go there, do it one day, you're done, you come back. So, and in that way, you get a broader understanding of how to actually do it yourself as well. So yeah, I went the second route. I went there.
Sure.
Myself.
And then now you're a master's holder. Right.
So to be.
I mean, it's just a formality.
Yeah.
Are we going for doctorate?
I thought about it. I don't want to lie. I did think about it. But seeing the type of industry that I'm in now, it's not really going to be beneficial. It would have been beneficial if I wanted to go the academia route. Say I wanted to be a lecturer, a professor, or a researcher even, then yes. But I'm in industry. It's not really going to benefit me very much. It's good for the title, you're a doctor whatsoever, but it's really not going to help me much there. So I am considering it maybe a few years down the line, because, there's a saying that if you don't go to your PhD, then you drop out.
If you don't
if you do your master's, but you don't go to your PhD, they're like, no, you're a dropout. But it's just jokes. It's just jokes. I'm willing to be one currently because I don't feel like it's really going to benefit my career at this point. So,
and I guess there's a lot of work that goes with that.
Definitely there is, because it's twice as much as when you are just doing your master's. It's a lot of work, and unlike masters, you can't really say you're doing your doctorate part-time. You have to be there full-time. So unlike masters, like I did mine full-time, but you can do it part-time. You can work and still, especially if it's in agreement with your supervisor, you agree that I'll go to work, I'll come back, I'll consult around those times, and I can still deliver, Yeah, but as for the doctorate, it's, there's a lot that needs to be done. Because now you're no longer just researching what's been done. You research and innovate. You come with something new.
Okay.
So that's where the work comes from now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did. So you finished. At least you are a seasoned chemical engineer, right? So you did all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
What was the gap between varsity and work?
You mean just after varsity?
I mean, just after varsity. I mean, when you started working, what was the gaps where you said, okay, I think when I go to work, I was like, okay, I don't understand why I did all those ways of doing chemical engineering. Yeah.
When I started working for my in-service training, I really did feel like I'm not doing what I started for, or because I was just an operator. I was just doing I was just producing numbers.
Okay.
Let me say, I was just producing whatever capacity the company needed. That's what I was just doing. But I didn't feel that I was really.
When you say produce, what were you doing?
We were making beer.
Okay.
It was brewery.
Okay,
so
sure.
I was actually on the fermentation part of the industry. So yeah, we were just producing numbers. That's what we were doing. First off, this is very contradictory to what I believe in. So, it was a struggle for me to take the job. I was like, Pastor, what do I do?
Sure.
What do I do?
Yeah.
Very conflicting. And he said, you know what, this is what the school, because the school finds a place for you. This is where the school has placed you. Just serve faithfully. When your time is up, go. Yeah, so that's what I did. But to tell you the truth, I didn't feel like I was really applying what I studied for. So I was like, is this what chemical engineers do? Then I'm not really sure. Until I actually found my other job, which is where I'm working now, where now you are required to apply what you've been studying for. Okay. Now you feel like I am actually an engineer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because now you apply that. Now it's no longer just theory that you've learned at school. But you see, wow, this is actually what it looks like. This is how it works. So this is only now. That time I felt like everything that I did, it did not help me. The first job that I had. And now I'm like, I see why I did chemical engineering.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess there were many gaps when I started off, but now it's like, it was worth it.
Makes sense now.
Yeah, it was worth it. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And then with where you're working now, you say that you're actually applying yourself and you actually see that this is what you have studied for.
Yeah.
Right. How then do you grow in that company? But like, how do you see your growth?
So far, I guess currently my job is it's focused on 3 things: people, process, and profit.
Okay.
So they work together. Mm-hmm. You have to work with people. Whether you like people or you don't, you have to work with people.
Sure.
And these are people from different backgrounds, people with different attitudes. But I guess this is where you apply your interpersonal skills. You get to learn to work in a team. So you have to have people skills. You can't not. You'll be frustrated. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You must genuinely develop a love for people. It helps. It makes the job easy. So people, I work with different teams because it's production and I'm the engineer. So whatever I implement, they have to buy into it. So you have to first start working on building relationships, because people buy into your things easy when they have a relationship with you, you know. And it's not something you just jump into. You convince them with time. You first solve a small problem that they have. And they're like, okay. And then you solve a bigger problem. And then they start trusting you. They know, oh, if we bring this to her, she's going to solve it. And then by the time you come with a bigger problem, say you want to change the process completely, and this is something that's out of their comfort zone. They've been doing this for 20 years. You find a 52-year-old man who's saying, you're just a child. I've been doing this for 52 years. Yeah. You know, or for 15 years, you can't tell me that this is wrong. Not that it's wrong, but remember the world is becoming more digital, you know. Yeah. So because you've built that relationship over time and you've proven to them that it's easy, like I can do this for you. I am with you. We actually in this together.
Sure.
I'm trying to make your work easy. Mm-hmm. By the time you come with a bigger project, even the people that haven't bought into your idea, the ones that have, they convince the other group for you. So it becomes easy. So that's the people part. And then the profit part, of course, whatever you're changing, it must make money for the business. Whatever you're solving, it must make money for the business. That's the profit part. So over time, say you're working on a project, you must be able to prove how much money has the project made for the company within maybe a space of 3 months after having applied what you've changed, of course. And the process part, it's more improving processes, the way of doing things. Yeah, maybe you used to run this for 50 minutes and produce this capacity. Now you can run it for 10 minutes, still produce the same capacity or more. Yeah. So vice versa, it does have a return on investment for the company. So yeah, that's the part of my job now. I feel like I've diverted from your question.
I like what you're talking about, because it actually it's bringing me to a question that I actually wanted to talk about as well, which is, it looks like chemical engineering, is it process engineering?
Yeah.
And industrial engineering.
Yeah.
You guys are
Very
fighting
similar.
for the same job.
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm a chemical engineer, but where I work, I'm an operations engineer.
Because what you were
So
explaining
more like
now, yeah,
production.
because what you're explaining now, I actually had Jeff. He's an industrial engineer, right?
Yeah.
And he was explaining literally the exact same thing. Just that with him, he's speaking about it on industrial engineering terms.
Okay.
And this is where my question comes in, because with them they are processing continuous improvement. Yes. And then do you guys also do the same thing as well?
Yes, but we call it focused improvement, but it's generally the same thing.
Okay.
Continuous improvement. So the process part mostly focuses on that. Different way of solving problems, different ways of doing things. And also becoming more digital. We understand that every company wants to make profit and they want to save time while doing that.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
If they can produce more in 15 minutes, that's what they want to do.
Sure.
So running away from things like using paper, which takes time and whatnot, coming up with softwares that it's easy to do. Just fill a form quickly online and it's done within 10 minutes, unlike doing it for 20 minutes.
Okay.
But that requires a lot of training, and it's easy to train people that you have a relationship with as well.
So which means the improvements that you guys bring in, there has to be a training that comes in.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, I get what you
that's why you must have a relationship with people, because they can easily make your job difficult. Yeah. Easily. Imagine having to train them for 2 months. It's delaying the whole implementation that you're trying to do. Yeah. So I guess I've been graced with a character that it's not difficult for me to make relationships with people. So when I got there, I was like, I wanted to know everybody, from the cleaner to the security to the operator to the bosses, everybody. During lunchtime, I don't have a specific group of people that I sit with. No, I want to get to know people, because these are my, these are the people that more like customers, I need them. Like my job, it doesn't exist without them. So within a space of a month or so, I was acquainted with almost everybody there.
Sure.
And funny enough is that I sit by the door. My office is by the door.
Okay.
So when they get out of the factory, it's like, hi, Zeze. Yeah. And everyone is in the office is like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So, which made my job very easy. And then it becomes very easy to implement whatever you want to implement. The training process, it becomes easy.
Yeah.
Everything else. But also, you must be willing to come in. Like, I remember there was a time when I was doing a training on a new software that mostly works on stock accuracy. Okay. So whatever you do physically, it must match with what you're doing on the system, so that there's no stock discrepancies. Okay. So if you move those to somewhere else, the system must say that you are doing the same thing. Okay. So I was training people, and they're different shifts, and I don't work shifts. Okay. So I had to come in at night. I had to come in the afternoon shift and train people, and they all made it so easy because there was a relationship that was built. Sure. So, yeah, but I guess that applies to every job. It starts there, but we fall in the trap of being technical. Exactly. Because you went to school, because you studied for this, because you've got the skill for it. You think that you don't need people because I just need to solve this and tell you what to do. But no, that's not how you work with people.
The pushback,
Yeah, you will get a lot of pushback, I tell you.
Talking about pushback, right? When was the time where you were like, oh my God, this guy is just not getting it?
I had an instance like that. It was specifically one
And
team.
which project what were you doing?
What was I working on around that time? Okay, I had this. So, say you are producing something. Say you are making a phone, right? Okay. There are different.
Say you're making aquila.
Okay. Say we are making a juice. There are different stages that this is the final product. Before it's the final product, that is going to go through. There's a stage where you have to buy the raw materials, or rather the ingredients. There's a space where you have to purify the water. Say the water that you're using to make this juice is not really pure. It needs to go through a purification process. There's a stage where you have to mix the two, which means you need to get the temperature right. Maybe you'd find that sugar is not really dissolving completely in cold water. Okay. You must get the temperature right and whatnot. Then the next stage, the testing stage, is everything proportional? Is it the way you want it? And then there's a packaging stage where now you're actually adding the liquid into the bottle. There is a sterilizing phase, ensuring that there is no bacteria that's growing in there that can actually affect people's lives if it goes to the shelves. Okay. There's the sealing stage, which is what sells the brand. Like, how does it look like you see the cover? So, okay, you see this, it's Aquili. Everyone knows Aquili. So there are different stages that it goes through. So what I was working on, we call it center lines. Okay. More like the different critical control points on the machine. Say the temperature. You keep changing the temperature. Now, when you are making juice, the temperature must be 60 degrees. But when you are making Powerade, the temperature must be 90 degrees.
Oh, okay.
When you're making something else. So I was doing those markings on the line because they were doing it more like trial and error.
Okay.
Because they're used to it, they just go on the machine. Oh, no, it's not sealing properly. They just change the temperature until it actually seals. But it wastes time.
Okay.
Unlike when you have a set point.
Yeah.
You just take it there when you run that variant or when you run that specific product.
Yeah.
So I was working on that throughout the whole line or throughout the different processes.
Sure.
I was getting pushback from this one team that we know this. We don't need you to come and fix this.
Yeah.
But I think mostly because the team is filled with people that are a bit older, I'll say adults, they're mature. They've been there for years. They're of age a bit.
Yeah.
So first off, they look at you, they're like, this baby is just from school.
What are you trying
You
to
can't
do?
tell us that, you
Yeah.
know. So though it's at work and there's that mutual respect, you need to even go lower to say, I'm willing to respect you even further than I'm supposed to because of your age. You don't have to. Actually, people in industry, you'd find a 20-year-old talking to a 60-year-old like they're friends. It's just no respect, none whatsoever. But if you want to gain that trust, to show them, to say, you know, I'm not coming here to make your work difficult, but I see you've been doing it like this. Also, go to their level. Don't come here and be a smarty pants. You're not going to win them over. So I was getting this pushback from this one team, and I managed to, you know, to get all the others to be on my team, and it was just this one guy. I tried to find common ground to be like, okay, maybe what is it that he likes? Maybe if we talk about that, maybe if we get that, you know, it will make this whole, you know, easy. I couldn't. But I realized over time that he's struggling with change. Before they didn't have an operations engineer.
Okay.
They would have problems. They would struggle and get frustrated with them for long. And then they get fixed maybe after 6 months. By that time, they found a way of fixing the problem their way.
Yes.
Yeah. So now there's this person who's just an in-between man. And they're like, we're not used to this. We know how to fix our own things. So I had to know to speak to him, you know, and I asked for a meeting. I was like, can we just have a meeting? I just wanted to understand what's going on. He was pushing back on everything.
Yeah.
And he actually opened up to say, no, we used to doing things this way. And you just come here now with all of these things. And then I tried to make him understand that this is what I'm here to do. I'm more for you than I am for the bosses, really. Because for the bosses, I'm making money. But for you, I'm making your work easier. Yeah. So you see, I'm more for you than I am for them. So he understood.
So how was that conversation like?
First off, he's a guy. So you know, men, it's not very easy to get through to them. Yeah. So it was not easy. I don't want to lie. At first, I just wanted to get to know him. And he was just giving me, okay, no, yes, no kind of answers. And I'm like,
oh yeah, sure.
I wanted
just
to talk.
It so difficult for you, yeah.
Yes, but you know, I opened up to him about how it has not been easy, you know, when starting off here, you know, me coming to a totally different environment, you know, with people that are skilled in their own areas, and I'm coming to their space, and sometimes they feel like I'm disturbing them, you know, because you have to learn their process first before you can actually fix it. And the only way you can learn is asking them, you know, and I just told him, you are the expert of your field. Literally, you are the expert of that line. I know nothing. So if you compare me and you, I am the blank one. So I'm willing to learn from you. But in my learning from you, I want to help you improve the way you do things.
Sure.
I'm bringing a fresh way of doing things. Not that what you're doing is not working or it's wrong. He understood. Over time, though, he understood. And I could see now when he's walking past me on the aisle, it's like, hi. Oh, the relationship is becoming different now. Sure. We're greeting each other. And I also didn't want to force, you know. There's something that my boss taught me. I think he looked at my character because I'm very result-driven. If I'm supposed to do something in a week, I push. So you'd find that if I'm struggling with this person, I'm willing to come night shift to the person that I'm not going to struggle with so that I can get my tasks done. But do you see that now I'm neglecting that relationship that I also need to build there? So I'm like that. And my boss said, sometimes when you come to a door and you knock, even though you see that someone is inside and they're not opening, don't push the door. Don't try to force, you see. Maybe there's a reason why they don't want to let you in. Go, come back another time. That's how you win people. Because you'd find that they're going through something at that time. He's like, I'm willing to compromise on you delivering at this specific time, but I'm more prepared on you investing on teamwork, relationship building, because once you get that right, everything else becomes easy.
Wow.
So I learned a lot from that man. I'm still learning.
I love that. We want to talk about robots later.
Yeah.
But I just want you to thank you so much for talking about that. I really loved how you broke down how you deal with problems.
Yeah.
And just shining light in terms of what you guys do. As a chemical engineer, the hurdles that I know you just talked about it.
Yeah.
But I think you're busy explaining the hurdles that you come across.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I want to know is this skill is not a skill that you knew from school. Is it? Do you get that skill,
school?
Or
no.
You kind of like have to learn it from company?
So I think first off, most skills can either be taught or learned.
Okay.
But skills that are more emotional based, you have to learn them by practice. There's no other way. Because you can't predict people's responses or emotions to things, you see. And people come from different backgrounds. They're affected by different things. Other people are insecure. Other people are too confident. Even though they don't know anything. They're just confident. And it works for them.
It don't work.
You know? So you learn by practice. But I really thank God, you know, he graced me with a leader, or rather a boss who's willing to invest in skill. When he hired me, he said, I know you know this. You've got this paper to prove, hey, I'm an engineer, but I'm willing to invest in your skills. Because I'm paying for the graduate.
Developing you into becoming an engineer.
Exactly.
Sure.
He said, this is what I paid for. I could have easily got someone who's been in industry for years, who knows how to do this and how to do that, but this is what I want to pay for. I need someone with a fresh mindset, someone who's not going to say, but I used to do it this way, why can't I do it this way? You know. So he invested a lot in that. And you are going to make mistakes, but it's just the easy way to come out of it is humility. If you realize that I wasn't supposed to speak to this person this way, and you only realize it afterwards, and there's nothing you can do, you just have to humble yourself. There's nothing wrong, you know, with being above and coming down to apologize to someone who's below you.
Yeah.
It actually makes their heart very easy, you know, because they feel like, I can trust this person.
True.
You see?
And you're just showing that you are human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they feel like they themselves can also be human, you know, around you. So I've made a lot of mistakes because, like I said, I came in very technical and very results driven. And then I had to learn that that's not how industry works. You have to learn you need to learn to work with people. But every time I'd make a mistake, you know, I'd come back and say, was there a way that I could have done it differently? And he said, no, sometimes I wouldn't even have to ask. He would simply say, no, you could have handled this way. You could have done this different way. And I would easily be like, thank you. And I go back to the same person. Like, pardon me, forgive me. You know, I'm learning this, and I hope that I do differently the next time. There was this one time that I was leading a meeting, and I remember so hungry. It was in the morning.
Okay.
So hungry. So I got a snack. I think it was like peanuts or so. So we sit around a boardroom, of course, and then you present your results, how the plant or how the production area performed the previous day. Now you're giving feedback, and they ask you questions and things like that.
Sure.
So I was doing that, and I was hungry. So I keep snacking when the other person is speaking. Though I'm running the meeting, I keep snacking. And my boss said during the meeting, are you going to share the snacks with everybody? It was a sarcastic comment. He
Sure.
really wasn't saying, like, share with everybody. So I said, I didn't respond. I said, like, no, but I said it low, like, what do you mean? After the meeting,
yeah,
he called me. He said, "This is a professional environment. If you lead a meeting, everyone who's sitting there is looking at you. You can't snack. Even if you're hungry, eat before if you have to.
Yeah.
You need to be professional. And the way that you carry yourself, people will respect you based on the way that you carry yourself."
Sure.
Oh, and he asked me, "Have you ever seen anyone leading a meeting snacking?" And I was trying to think, no. I was like, no.
Yeah.
So I'd learn like that. And one thing that I think I like about being under him is that he will take me in private, criticize me, and then by the time I go out, I'm shining. I look like I've been doing this for long. But no, there's just someone who's there willing to invest in you.
I've got 2 questions, right?
Okay.
Do you work alone as a operations? You said operations what?
Engineer.
Do you work alone? And if you work alone, would it make your work easier? And maybe the second question is, if you work with other people, does it make it easier for you to come? Because since you seems like you are improving processes, right?
Yeah.
Do you sometimes maybe clash in ideas? That's
with
if you
other
work with
people
in the same department, right?
Yeah.
Then I'll ask the other question. It's about your boss.
Okay.
I think you can just answer these questions. Yeah.
So being an operations engineer, I wouldn't say I work alone, but I don't have a team I'm responsible for or people reporting to me.
Okay.
I report directly to my line manager. So I don't have, unlike team leaders, they've got a team under them. Okay. Different people, like different operators that report to them. And then they report to my boss, who's the line manager.
Okay.
So for me, I do my job, I report directly to my manager. There's no one under me or anything. However, I work with people like I said in the beginning, with operators because it's their line, they run the line. So if I'm going to improve anything, I must go back to them to say, what do you think about this? This is how it's actually going to benefit you. But on the broader part of working with people, I work with the technical team, the people that fix the machine, the people that, if there's a breakdown, they do change parts and things like that, maintenance of the machine, more like to prolong the lifespan of the machine.
Sure.
Or of the equipment. So say there is an improvement that I want to make on the line and it's more technical. I will think about it. I will draw up a proposal. I will design it and present it to the technical team.
Okay.
Together with their boss and my boss, and say, this is how it's going to change the line. This is how it's going to do. And they look at their capacity. Will they be able to design such a thing for the line or for the operators? If they can't, they can in-source other engineers from outside who can actually design, and then we put it on the line. And if we put it on the line, we see that it's working, that's when the training will begin. But even before the training begins, the conversation already about the changes that are going to be made, it must already be, could have been done with the operators already to get them familiar so that when it's there, it doesn't shock them. Because if it shocked them, push back immediately.
Sure.
So
doesn't work.
it won't work. Yeah. So you need to start up conversations. So, okay, I'm thinking of this change, just bring it up in conversations, and this is how it's going to work. And they buy into it before it actually arrives or before it's actually implemented. So that's how I work a lot with the technical team if it's a new design of the equipment. But if it's more like problem solving and different ways of doing things, I work a lot with the department, the focused improvement department, because that's basically what they do.
I like that. I think I'm actually loving industrial engineering and chemical engineering because it brings out another side of you of wanting to work with people. It's just fascinating for me. So now, how important is it?
How important is it to have?
How important is it to have a good manager who cares about both you and the work that you're doing? Because it seems like that's a basically the way that you explain it, that's the kind of a manager that you have.
That I have, yeah.
So how important it is that for you, even for your development as a engineer? Yeah.
Very important. Very important. I can't stress that enough. It is very important.
Sure.
Because this is someone you work with every day. You report to this person. It's important that first off, you have a good relationship with your manager or with your boss. It's important. And it makes it easy for your development in the sense that you might not see some other areas you can branch into, and they see that for you and they present those platforms for you to grow. For example, my boss said he wants to take me to a course, like a leadership course. I'm an engineer. I feel like I don't really need that. But you need to be able to know how to lead people if you want to grow in industry.
Definitely.
And the moment you have that skill, it's very easy for you to say, I want to leave engineering. I just want to be whatsoever manager or whatever. I can easily move into the quality department because I've got management and leadership skills.
Sure.
So these are things that I never thought that I really needed. But he was like, I see this in you and I want to take you to this course. What do you think? And I'm like, oh yeah, thank you. You know, and also there are things that sometimes we don't see that we actually don't know, but it helps to have someone looking on the outside, watching you and saying, you think you're correct here, but you actually not. And that's positive criticism. It helps you grow. Yeah. It doesn't really bring you down. It helps you want to be better. And I think I've got that in my manager to say, we have weekly meetings. We call them feedback meetings, where we talk about how do you feel. You know, you don't get that everywhere.
Sure.
He's like, forget about the work. How do you feel this week? Are you frustrated? Are you still happy with what you're doing? Do you feel like you've got enough tools that you need to do your job? Things like that. You see, I just talk about my feelings and I'm like, this week has been stressful, maybe because of audits or whatever. And I just need rest. Or I need, this. And he can easily say, I'm going to hold off on this project and let you work on this and complete, and then I'm going to give you work. But if you don't have that relationship, you're either going to kill yourself with work, because also the gap between work and rest is very important. You must know when to rest. You must know when to work, you see. So that relationship, it helps you to prioritize your work as well and your rest. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think one thing that I think stands out for me is the platforms for growth. Yeah. You can't get that anywhere except from your boss. Other people from other departments, they are looking from the outside. Though they've liked to help, but literally your future is in the hands of this person that you report to. Yes. So if you really want to grow, then you must have a good relationship with your boss. And it's so good to work in peace, because you actually release, or you deliver. If you're at peace, you deliver. But if you're frustrated, things that you can easily do,
you easily make mistakes,
which is not very good for you. If you're constantly making mistakes, it makes you unreliable. They look at you like, can we trust you? Can we, But if you have a good relationship with your boss, the environment is peaceful and it helps you to deliver as well. So that's just the best part of it.
Sure. Yeah. I actually like that that there are managers who are very good at seeing the importance of making the company grow, because when the company grows, that means there is incentives for that.
Exactly.
You understand? So you need someone who's not short-sighted.
Exactly.
Who will now sabotage each and every operations engineer that comes in.
And
they're busy talking down on them.
Yeah.
And they can't really deliver on their work. So kudos to your manager that at least there's someone who's foresighted.
Yeah.
So with that said, right, someone once said that the work is not easy.
Yeah.
People make the work is difficult. How true in your line of work? How true is that, or how false is that?
So they're saying that the work is not easy?
The work is easy.
Oh, it's the people that
the people that make the work difficult.
Definitely. I totally agree with that.
Sure.
It's really the people. And I think if you have a job where you have to work with people, they can easily make your job difficult. You find that you know this, you studied for this, you're skilled for this, you're qualified for this. But there are things that you will still need an approval from someone else to say, though you're done with this project, it must go through this person for approval.
Sure.
If you don't have that person, the work is hard. It's difficult.
Sure.
It's gonna look like you are actually not producing.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much work you invest or like how much time you invest in order to produce. If it's not signed off, if it's not implemented, it's not really work. So it's really people that make the work difficult.
Sure.
Yeah. And I guess what makes the work easy as well, if we make it personal. You can also make your work difficult if, you don't make the environment, conducive for you to work. By that I mean, it's not that people around you are going to be nice, but you must find common ground with people. Yeah. If you know that person is generally not nice, don't provoke them. Why are you trying to provoke them? You're frustrating your whole environment.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where you're like, I don't want to be here anymore. So, though you are actually delivering, but the emotional part of your job becomes difficult because you are not in right terms with people.
With your co-workers,
With your co-workers. So I totally agree with that statement.
I was saying that to come back to the question of robots.
Yeah.
Would it be better for us to have a machine that can do the work much better? You program the instructions of what you want to do without having to convince someone. Would you want to if you had an opportunity to actually have that scenario, would you go for it?
I don't think I will. I don't think I would. Though that's an ideal world, definitely. If you look at time, if you look at efficiency, if you look at how much you're going to produce, definitely it does look attractive. But the truth of the matter is that what makes the work interesting is the people. It's really the people, because you build relationships. I'm so big on relationships. Besides the fact that it's positive in the sense that people are not unemployed and they're not sitting at home. Besides that fact, people have jobs, they can actually provide for their families, Bringing it back into scripture as well, the Bible says, multiply, be fruitful and multiply. Sure. So it's like you are taking away that, opportunity for people to actually be fruitful and do something with their lives if you're just introducing robots, you see. But definitely I would choose people. I would choose people any day. As difficult as people can be, I would definitely choose people.
Sure.
Sometimes it's exciting to know that I'm going to work and I'm just going to meet that person.
Sure.
Sometimes it's just the highlight of your day,
and I think
because people help you grow.
Yeah.
They help you grow.
Yeah, and I mean, they say that we are relational beings.
Yeah.
So not being able to relate with another human being makes it a bit difficult here.
Yeah. We are created for that. We are created to be able to be in communion with other people, in fellowship with other people. It would be totally difficult.
Sure.
I don't know. I wouldn't choose machinery. Of course, if maybe I'm an investor somewhere or whatever, I would definitely be thinking money, return on investment.
Sure.
But I would choose people any day.
Interesting. Interesting on that. I think, like you said, that there's different ways of seeing it.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate your opinion on that.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to talk on how do you pace yourself in as a chemical engineer to become a very competent engineer, right? So I just want you maybe you can use your own story in terms of how did you grow to become a good engineer.
Okay.
How do you grow to become a good engineer?
And like I said before, most of the skills can either be taught or be learned. And I'm big on investing in yourself. You know, most things are not going to be learned at school, and that's the truth. So, for example, I remember when I was doing my interview for this job that I have now, I went for my first interview, which I felt was successful. I felt like it went so well. And they told me, we are scheduling you for a second interview.
Okay.
But now that the interview was with the site director of the company. And when they told me that, I was like, I'm not gonna get this job. There's no way I'm gonna get this job.
Sure.
But because I had went through the description of what they needed from a person, and I realized that I didn't have one of the skills that they were looking for, then I went online. I was like, how can I gain this skill? I went to Coursera, which is very helpful, by the way. Say you want to learn a course that you can finish in 3 months or in a month. Coursera is there. You get all the Coursera.
Okay.
It's like course, but Coursera.
Okay.
You go there, and I learned the skill, Lean Six Sigma.
Oh,
it was supposed to be a month, a course for a month. I did it in a week because I was catching up for the second interview so that I can impress this person. And then I did, and we came for the interview, and, he was asking me about myself and, and the different skills that I have. And I was like, by the way, I am now a Lean Six Sigma qualified, chemical engineer. And he was like, okay, tell me a bit about that. Because the knowledge was still fresh in my mind and all that. I went on and on and on and on, and that made me very attractive. You see, so I'm going back to investing in yourself. You might not learn a skill at work per se, but there are platforms online somewhere that you can learn. By the time you go there, you already look attractive. So at work, say they are speaking about introducing a new software. Currently, I'm learning Power BI because that's Power BI.
Okay.
It's more like a business intelligent software that you use to analyze data, but very complex data.
Okay.
I mean, like Excel can analyze complex data, but there's some data that Excel will not be able to analyze. So there's a software called Power BI. It's very good.
Nice.
So I'm learning that, and they want me to use that at work, and I'm thinking, I don't know this, and the training is in April. I'm already learning the software. By the time I go there, it will make the training go quicker, which is what my boss is very result driven like me, you see. And the company is fast moving company. So you can't be slow. You need to be quick. If they're telling you we're going to do this, find a way of learning it before. I mean, you can always wait like the other group, but what really makes you stand out?
Yes,
you see, it doesn't make you stand out.
Yeah.
So I invest a lot in myself. I guess that's what I would say has been helping me to be becoming a proficient, operation engineer, because I invest time into things. And also, if I'm given a task, I put my whole heart in it. I will go there.
Sure.
And I think most of my motivations, it comes from scripture, because the Bible says, do everything you are doing as if you are doing it unto the Lord.
Yeah.
So I'm not very casual when I'm doing things. You'll find that I'm not even presenting to a big group. I'm presenting to my boss. I will go all out. Nice. When I go there, he's like, actually, let me call in that person and that person and that person to listen to you. You see, you're becoming attractive in that way. So invest in yourself. And when you're given a task, remember, this is an industry. It's not school. They're investing in you because they want return on whatever investment they are putting in you. So the best way you can really do for yourself and for the company, whatever you are given, do it to the best of your ability. If you can't do it, you need support. Speak to someone who can give you support. If there's something that you can do that is in your control, like you can learn it some way, you can find someone maybe at work who already knows the skill, then do that. It makes you attractive. It's the small things. Also, it's small things. Be there on time. Respect the company.
Sure.
Be there on time. In the same way, when you were going to the interview, you were there on time. Probably 30 minutes before. Still, be there on time. It's the small things. And also in the way that you carry yourself. My boss talks about that a lot. In the way that you carry yourself. If you're walking around like a child, everyone's going to treat you like a child. respect, like I don't know how to put it.
Yeah, I think
be
I understand what you
presentable
mean. Yeah.
and just carry yourself well, and everyone is going to start looking at you that way. Everyone is going to start addressing you that way. Yeah, so it's really in the small things. I don't really have anything really tangible. I just say invest in yourself.
I actually like what you said, like investing in yourself.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that you might have not said it by definition, but going the extra mile.
Yeah.
And making sure that when you are given a project, make sure you deliver.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think some of the things that we actually touched on, that try to remove as many mistakes as possible.
Yeah.
Because when you have mistakes, that means people are saying that you're losing.
Can we trust you?
You can't trust you anymore. So you're planting doubt into all your
people. Exactly. And you don't want to do that.
And what you do that is when you bring something up, or when you say that you have worked on a project, no one really touches. Someone has to like double check it 3-5 times, and you want to do that.
Yeah.
Especially as engineers.
Sure.
Okay, I don't know how long are we in? Okay. Okay. The money side of work as engineers, right? Because we actually work with a lot of money. And I mean, you guys are responsible for plants that produce a product which is going to be consumed, right? And I'm not too sure but somehow it's like the money side of things is it becomes a topic of interest, right? Excuse me. How do you navigate yourself into understanding finances of the whole company, even though you are an operations engineer? You
mean how money is distributed into the different parts of the world, or how much people are getting paid?
Like no, not necessarily that, but the conversation of money is not something that you get. I don't know if maybe you guys did go through the responsibility of the work that you're going to be doing. That it's going to cost so much money.
Oh, okay.
And if you mess up whatever batch that's coming out, that means you're costing the company millions in other cases.
Actually.
Right? So how do you come in terms with that kind of information as someone who, when you get there, you don't even know that you're going to be dealing with millions of money of rents in the company?
So I guess my boss made it easy for me when I started out, in the sense that every project that I was working on, he said, show me how much you're going to save us.
Oh, I see.
So for example, for the first 3 months, I'd be collecting data. So say, at this temperature, this is how much you produce. But if you increase the temperature more, you actually produce bad product. So if you were supposed to produce 5,000, but you messed up the temperature, and then instead you produced 3,000, then of course the difference, you're going to calculate the difference to say, if this is how much we would have sold it to the customers if it was a full batch, but now we've wasted this much, this is how much now we're actually selling it, and this is how much it's costing the company. Not only costing the company in the sense that you've wasted, but you've wasted utilities, you've wasted electricity, you've wasted, if they're using steam, you've wasted compressed air, you've wasted a lot of things.
Yeah, you've cost the company.
You've cost the company a lot. You've cost the company packaging. You've cost the company raw materials that they bought, but they're not going to use. So in every project that I was working on, I'd have to go to the different departments and say, can you explain to me how much this would have cost? These raw materials, and now it's going to the bin or it's thrown away. How much is costing the company? And then people will really be willing to help you, especially if you explain what project you're working on.
Yeah.
And then you put all those sums up together, and at the end you say, had it been that we've produced good products, this is how much we would have saved, but we didn't because of this, and this is how much we've lost. But in the future, I want us to do it this way, and therefore this is how much is going to save the company, things like that. So every project, it was not only quantified, but it was also, there's like a cost, put up to it. So to me, it was very easy to understand.
That this is the type of
this is not a joke, okay? Yeah, sure. Because my boss said, show me that you are worth this investment.
Okay.
He says, if I pay you this much this month, say in 6 months, this is how much I pay you. Put all your projects together that you've been doing. Prove to me that they're above the money that I'm paying you. So you don't have a choice.
Nice.
You must
perform.
work.
Yeah.
And every project, it must run. It must not only start and then die off. It must be implemented. So that you can say, it's been working now for 3 months, and look, this is how much the graph is going up. This is how much is saving the company. And if you can put it together and say, maybe in 6 months, I can't prove to you that I've actually saved the company, but give me 6 more months, I can actually double whatever you wanted.
Nice.
So you don't really have to prove the way he wants you to prove, but you can say, I can't prove for you now at this point, but in 2 years, this is how much it's going to be because of this reason and this reason and this reason and this reason. And then they buy into it.
I'm actually enjoying this podcast.
Yeah.
You're coming with a lot of information. And I think maybe I'm forgetting my question now.
Okay.
That was my last question that I wanted to have. Yes.
Yeah.
So how do you now, can you please just explain the different avenues that you can go into if you're working as a chemical engineer? That way, so that at least someone who's listening to this is like, okay, I heard that this is what you're working on.
Yeah.
Maybe I want to try something different.
Yeah. I guess the interesting part about chemical engineering is that you go into any production company. As long as they are producing something, you can go there.
Okay.
As long as they produce, mostly it's food production companies or industries that are more easier. But for example, I remember when I was looking for an in-service training, I was interviewed by a company that was making glue. Glue.
Okay.
Like the normal glue, super glue. So you see, that's another production company. Okay. They are making something. So as a chemical engineer, you've got this broad.
So broad, yeah.
You can branch off into any industry.
Yeah.
You can go into paper, you can go into plastic, you can go into food, you can go into glue.
Where there's a process.
Where there's a process.
Okay.
You can go into glass, like console.
Yeah.
Any industry where they're producing something, where they are taking raw materials, putting them together to make something completely different. Sure. You can go into that industry.
Nice. I think you have made it so simple.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you were going to come and say, okay, there's this.
No.
I think I like that. I don't think I think I've asked as many questions as I can.
Yeah.
Maybe lastly, I always ask my guest, maybe say something that can encourage someone, whether it be a student or maybe fellow colleagues in chemical engineering, something nice.
Guess what I would say is that don't wait for a time where you're actually in industry to invest in yourself. Start investing in yourself now. It's in the small things. If you realize that though you're doing chemical engineering, you don't really, maybe it doesn't sound or it doesn't look as attractive as you thought it was in the beginning, you can always invest in yourself in a different way to branch off into something else. For example, the world is going into the 4th industrial revolution, where everything is going into AI more,
Sure.
Exactly. So the way you can invest in yourself, do some data analysis courses. If you put that together with your chemical engineer degree, you can do totally something different from that, you see. So invest in yourself. That's all I'm going to say. Really invest. Be it invest in what you're doing currently by putting in the work, because as much as people would say your results don't matter, they do matter in the industry. That's the first approval point. Yeah, it's not really what gets you there, but it's the first step into it. You enter by that. So invest in yourself so that by the time you're done, you are already looking attractive. And there are platforms. This is the mistake that I did by not updating my LinkedIn.
Okay.
Because that's what employers look at. You can send your CV, but they also want to look at your LinkedIn. Start it small. What do you have so far? If you have interpersonal skills, put those skills there. If you have team skills and you've proven those team skills by working in group works with other people, put those small things there. And the more you grow, the more you feel. You become more attractive, and someone can just look at your page and be like, I want to hire this person.
Nice.
They don't have the skill, but because of these, I want to hire this person.
Nice.
So invest in yourself. And if you can put yourself out there through LinkedIn, through your social media, be careful of also what you put in your social media. I know you're young. You want to put everything out there.
Yeah.
Just be careful. Remember, you still want to grow
up.
up.
Employers are actually using social media to check.
Exactly. Kind of they check your social media and they're like, I don't want someone who's going to be posting these and these. So be young. We're not taking that away from you. But invest yourself and put yourself out there. Update those social platforms that the employers are looking for.
Yeah.
So do small courses, improve your skill set, and work on your degree, and also just put yourself out there.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It was really nice having you, and all the best in all your endeavors. And if you decide to become a doctor, I'll definitely call you. But thank you so much. I really appreciate this, and thank you for coming through.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.